This episode is brought to you by marketing consulting firm The Bonafide Lyrics and Marketing, LLC, where creativity meets business. You can check us out at www.theblm.com for more information on how we help local artists and creatives maximize their business presence. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
Check us out. It's the All Love, No Fear podcast. All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
On Patreon.
What happened?
My bad, yo.
Hey.
What's up, peoples? What's up?
Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Get at me, 'cause I hear you and I'm watching.
Yeah.
But I'm still here.
Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to the people on the Patreons watching in live and direct. Shout out to the people who are not watching live. We support you. We appreciate you also watching on the websites or the Spotify's or the Apple Podcasts, if you must, and
all
the
places,
Google Podcasts.
not the Apple Podcasts.
If you must. Our friend on Patreon is being very aggressive with his Apple love, and we don't. This is an Android household.
We don't do that here. As for me in my house,
we serve Android. Well, not serve, but we
will use.
We use Android and Windows.
Yes.
That's what we do here. But like, we appreciate everybody there. This is season 4, episode 13. We are halfway done. Are we taking a break?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are taking a break after this episode, FYI.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about like after the 26th.
Oh no, I was asking if we take a break after, because we're halfway.
No, we're gonna just keep
break. We'll keep going. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. We'll see y'all next week then also. So we are halfway done. 13 more episodes in the season.
Yes, and then we will be taking a break for the summer.
Yes. Well, summer will be over by her.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Let me count. So it's
13 weeks.
It's 1.
Yes, summer will be over.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We'll be in like September.
11, 12. Yeah. Close to the end of September. Technically the end of September.
Yeah.
Because we're probably going to take off.
Oh, so it works out anyway, because we'll be around our anniversary is probably when we're taking off.
Yes, we'll be in the streets.
Yeah.
Because they are open.
That works. They
are open again, in case you haven't heard. The streets are open. People aren't wearing their masks. It's really wild out here. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna wear mine though, because I don't trust some of y'all.
Yeah. A lot of y'all.
Well, not respectfully. You can take it however you want, but I don't trust.
Let me turn my phone from being loud. I apologize.
Get away. Get out of my text messages, please. Thank you. You know who you are. Get out. Get out right now. Get out. Get out. Get out.
All right. So how's your week going?
It's been good so far. I mean, it's a week.
All right.
I'm still at home. This is my last month. No, I'm lying. I have July. But my work from home time is winding down.
Okay.
It's almost over.
And once again, happy Juneteenth to the people that celebrated on Saturday. It became a federal holiday, and which is, I guess,
sure,
that's fine. It wasn't necessary to become a federal holiday. People were celebrating either way.
Way.
Now it kind of just opens up people to be reckless with their celebrating. I don't need to hear about your Juneteenth deals.
Nope, don't want it.
I feel as if people are just really confused about how to celebrate Juneteenth, and I think it's hilarious to have those conversations.
Yeah,
it's like, so what do I do? Like, just be off. I don't.
Yeah, but I don't want to see the Juneteenth sales.
How do you celebrate Arbor Day? You just be off. I don't know. Like,
I don't. Like, just figure it out.
Just be off. I don't. Just.
We'll talk about it a little bit more later.
Have a barbecue.
But yeah.
I remember like one year people were like this. Oh, we're gonna have we have chicken wings and fried chicken during Juneteenth. I was like,
but why?
That it sounds racist. Actually,
what's the reason?
It sounds ridiculous. Like
is chicken wings and French fries a designated?
Not chicken wings and French fries, like fried chicken.
Fried chicken is that
and like watermelon and stuff like that. I was like,
is that the designated black people food or
it isn't?
Who said that?
Just be off. Like don't be like just don't try too hard.
Yeah, let's try not to make it like a whole thing. We'll talk about this a little bit later in the podcast, but just you know, yeah.
Just don't try too hard.
It's a lot. Right. Y'all do the most.
Anything else before we get into it?
Anything else? I don't know. I mean, it's 4th of July is coming up. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of summer activities that I'm looking forward to getting into. Your birthday's coming up. It's a lot of things I'm looking to get into on this day. I wonder who this could be calling me. It was a scam.
Scam likely.
Scammers be scamming.
All right. So we're getting right into love it or lose it. Hey, 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 hey. Word. So love it or lose it for season 4, episode 13.
13, yes.
What we're gonna do is
the first thing we're gonna do actually is introduce ourselves because I don't think we did that. Hi, I'm KB.
This is KB.
Yes, this is
I am Mark Metapoetic Medic. That's who I am.
Yes, and we are the co-hosts of this.
The All Love No Fear podcast. Ha.
Yeah.
All right, but love it or lose it.
Because I was like, we did the welcome, not the welcome. We did the thank you for listening wherever you listen at, but we definitely did not introduce ourselves. We didn't do that.
The icebreaker that we usually do is called love it or lose it, in which usually one person,
in which we break the ice.
Hence, icebreaker. So usually we have 4 choices. We have 4 choices usually, and out of those 4 choices, you have to choose one to love, hold on to, never let go, and one to lose, throw away, and everything that comes with it. So
Mark has been giving me some very questionable choices lately, so I don't know where we're going today.
This one is going to be harder to do in terms of it's all positive. Before, what I've been doing before is like the ones you want to throw all of them away.
Yes,
and you have to choose one to love. That's hard. This one it might be hard to choose one to throw away.
Okay.
All right. This is expressions of blackness. Expressions of blackness. Which one do you? It can be whether you enjoy expressing it, or it can be what you enjoy receiving.
Okay.
It could be either one.
Okay.
And the ways of expression are: one is art, and it can be visual. It can be visual art. It could be audio art. Whatever it is, a form of different forms of black art. Clothing. Black clothing. Whether it's with African prints, whether it's other form of clothing that just exudes blackness. Another one is hair, and different styles of hair, different textures of hair, or expression of that is what you see. And the other one is speech. Speech. Because a lot of times we always talk about black people like we have certain things that we say and certain ways that we talk, and certain they say like which one do you enjoy most?
This is hard.
It is. And it's a weird one too. I know it's
a word.
Yeah, because like it's we don't really think of like these things as like
yes, this is true.
Yeah. And like and this kind of I guess kind of plays into Juneteenth, but it's kind of like it's certain things that I feel like we should just appreciate more in terms of like and like not only African or West Indian, but also just African American, just like all forms of black expression that we express ourselves as being black in all these different ways. I don't believe one is less than the other.
I'm thinking as you're talking, like,
but you have to choose one that's less than the other because we have love it or lose it. Love it or lose it says you have to, but one is not less than the other.
Who made this stupid game? I think it was me.
Yeah, I thought it was you. I think you made this game.
Fine. So you said it's art, clothing, hair, and what was the last one?
Speech.
This is hard. This is hard.
It is.
It's very hard.
And just a disclaimer, we all think all four are great.
Yes, we think all four are great. There are none of them I actually would throw away in real life.
All four are phenomenal.
This is a very hypothetical game situation.
That of like you only have 3 spots.
Yeah.
You have to choose 3.
This is a hard one. I think I might go with hair.
Okay.
I think I might go with hair. And I just want to be very clear. I do not think there's anything not beautiful about black hair and black hairstyles and all that jazz. I think they're all amazing. All the various like ways black people can style their hair is amazing. But I guess for the context of this, I can't imagine giving up the art. I just can't imagine that. And the clothes and the physical expressions of what we wear that's super powerful to me. And the speech, I feel much of the cultural like lingo that we hear and use today was originated by black people. And we come up with new things every day. And so, yeah, hair would be it for me, but only because I'm being forced to choose, because ultimately I wouldn't get rid of any of them. But if I had to in this very specific situation, hair would be it for me. What about you?
I've been trying to go back and forth myself as I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to. I think the only reason why I go back and forth between clothing and hair, right?
Okay.
And the only reason why I say clothing,
those are the two I was going back and forth between too,
is because it's sometimes it's not the actual clothing, but how we wear the clothing.
Valid.
So like, it's a lot more in how we wear it. So I feel as if no matter who makes the clothing, we're still going to style it the way we want. Right.
It's true.
So that's the only reason why I would probably say clothing more.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter who makes the clothing. The only reason it's hard for me to do hair because it comes out of our head.
Yeah.
And
you're right. I think I changed mine. I think I changed it to clothing as well.
And like I realized that black hair has become a protest just for letting it grow.
Yes.
It's a protest it's a protest to do nothing to your hair.
Yes.
And that's like it's insane, but that it becomes just a protest just to have your hair grow, comb it, and leave the house. That becomes a protest in itself.
Yes.
So that's a reason why I will say clothing, because it doesn't matter, because like even if we don't make the clothing, we will still make it fly.
Yes, because we are the fashion is us.
Yeah, there's so many people I remember back in like high school, middle school, like cut up t-shirts, cut up like just do things to the actual clothing,
regular clothes.
No matter who makes it, just add the style to ourselves. So I'll say clothing will be my loser. So what did you love it?
What is my love it? My love it is probably the art. It's probably the art. Because I feel like there's so much of it in so many various forms. Like you can, like you said, have visual art, have paintings, you can have dance, you can have vocals, you can have poetry, you can have even like designing, like the clothing and the shoes and the this and the that. Like all of that is black art to me. And I feel like that is just ubiquitous. Like you can't get away from it. And I can't imagine a place where that did not exist in some capacity. So yeah, it's the art. It's the art for me.
That's fine.
What?
I think my love it is speech.
Okay.
And I think my love it is speech because of how controversial it is.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of art that people create that like other races will kind of be like, all right, like they're like, all right, this is acceptable as art, right? But when someone just talks, it's frustrating. Like it's more of a protest to them. It's almost like the speech is where the blackness is too much. It's like it's too much blackness in the speech. Like,
gotcha.
Like talking in certain slang, regardless of what region you're from. Like talking that slang is just too much to do that. Like
it's too black and they can't take it.
Yeah, like it's the slang is like is where the line is drawn, and the fact that like it never sounds right coming from not someone who grew up in that culture. It always sounds like I've heard like once in a while white people doing things in terms of art, and it was still okay. Yeah. It's very hard unless you like have a history of talking a certain way and doing that, of understanding language. It's like growing up talking any language. It's just like you have to be engulfed in it and be accepted by it to have a conversation. And like it's just a lot more than just saying yo. I think that's why I think it's speech to me, and also when I found out how much of our speech comes from African different countries in Africa and how they speak, and like certain ways how we talk comes from that. I think it made me more like appreciative of language and how we talk, because it's such a controversial topic amongst a lot of people, even amongst black people, about how we should talk in certain settings. Agreed. How we should talk in professional settings and public settings. Like it's just so controversial. And like I feel like it's the most unapologetically black is to just talk with a certain twang to it. Right.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm following you.
Yeah.
I'm following you. I'm with you. Word. So yeah, I think that's it for Love It or Lose It. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your feelings. You can hate the category. That's cool. Or you can love it. That's cool too. You can lose it or love it. See what I did there? Sorry, I got to grow up. I do have to grow up.
Sir D said, look at what Will Smith did to the Bel Air Academy school blazer. Like with the clothing.
Yes, like I'm saying, exactly.
Like he jazzes it up.
Gave it jazz and pizzazz.
Yeah, jazz and pizzazz.
That's what we do. That's literally black people.
Yeah.
Jazz and pizzazz. So yes, that was Love It or Lose It. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, hey, hey. Love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Okay.
What?
I just wasn't sure what was happening. I didn't know why you did that.
Okay. I can't do that. Is that too much?
It's too much. So let's get into the topic, huh?
Okay. Right into the main topic.
Yes. So, Mark and I were having a conversation in the car the other day, about our experiences with working and the different types of bosses that we've had over our professional life. And one of the conclusions we kind of came to is that, and maybe it was a conclusion Mark came to before, but it was something I never really thought about until we were in the midst of having that conversation. But, you know, I never quite thought about or connected the dots on the fact that I have had different experiences with male bosses versus female bosses. And even by ethnic or racial breakdown or whatever you want to call it, it's been different. in terms of what the management or supervision has looked like for me. And so we were like, well, let's talk about this here at the pod, because this could be an interesting topic to open up some questions and some perspectives and get folks thinking and talking. So, yeah.
I guess I'll talk first about male supervisors, my bosses. I feel like I shouldn't be the first one to talk about women supervisors.
That's fine.
But male supervisors, I guess, my perspective on like how, once again, this is a lot of times what I see in terms of the field. This is not applied to all.
Right.
But I realized that a lot of male, specifically black male supervisors, they tend to be excessively accommodating.
Agreed.
Right. They're excessively accommodating to all people because of the perception that black men are a lot more aggressive and are like not that accommodating or always go like that perception that, which is, I don't think it's factual with how many people I know who are extra accommodating. It's not I don't think it's a real stereotype, but because this stereotype that we've been embedded that black people are this way, black people tend to be a lot more, especially in mixed spaces. We tend to be a lot excessively accommodating and understanding to other races' plights and things that are going on, or to women's plights. And like we're excessively accommodating to things that are going on. We try to so like a lot of times people like us as managers because we're so excessively accommodating, but the reality is a lot of times the problem is that we tend to miss out. This is what's negative. We tend to miss out on a lot more opportunities because of it. We tend to because we're not as aggressive on like trying to find things out or like saying we don't like this, or like we tend to create a kind of a hostile environment for ourselves, and we tend to like not be aggressive enough for sometimes higher positions sometimes and everything, because we're like so worried about coming off of too aggressive. We're not aggressive enough, right, for the positions that we need, or to let people know what we want and everything. We're trying to like be as amicable as possible. And everything. And the reality is many times in the higher positions, we're actually more qualified than everybody else. So we'll go home and like we'll express our anger to like our friends, to our wife and everything, but we'll go home and we'll go back to work and be a lot more accommodating to everybody. Yeah. Because we're like, all right, if we're more accommodating, then we'll get to where we get to. But like I said, in our being so passive, we tend to miss out on a lot of opportunities. Right. And what we're doing, and we don't really get to the point of expressing our anger with things that annoy us. And like it kind of, like I said, it kind of plays into what I was talking about before. Like we get to this point of like our feelings don't matter. Yeah, we get to this point of like how we feel about the situation doesn't matter. Let's just worry about getting things done. Our feelings about how this is, how the world is, how the job treats people, it's not really our concern. So feelings don't really matter. Right. And that's how we tend to operate, and it kind of starts affecting everything else. Starts affecting everything else we do. Agreed.
I've had two male bosses in my professional experience, and they were both black men. And they were some of the nicest people. Like, I completely agree with what you said about black men or men in general. I forget which one you said, in the workplace, trying to be like not seen as aggressive, and
it's more black men.
More, yeah. Like I thought that was what you said, but I was like, let me not be out here lying. But yeah, they were definitely the least aggressive bosses I've ever had. And the funny thing is, I kind of felt like their supervisors were expecting them or wanting them to be a little bit more aggressive, but they weren't. And they kind of felt, this is my opinion, they never told me this is just my opinion from the outside looking in. It kind of felt like they were being pressured or expected to be aggressive, but they didn't feel comfortable doing it because they felt like it would blow back on them in the event that the wrong person took a more assertive or aggressive nature the wrong way. Yeah. And then it would become a thing. It's like, oh yeah, you know, those black, like it's so many underlying things that, you know, I feel like black men, especially in workspaces where like in the field I'm in, there's a lot of black people working in the mid to lower levels. When you start moving to the higher levels, you start to see less black people. And so it's like, I don't want to play into certain stereotypes because then I'll never get to that like level where it's only a few of us. But I also don't want to seem incompetent at my job. And so I feel like that's kind of the challenge that I felt like my two black male bosses kind of had. Like it seemed like they were trying to come across as competent with running their departments, but also trying to be cautious and not play into or contribute to any negative preconceived notions about black males. Because I felt like they were both hired to like wrangle certain difficult employees within the department, but when they weren't as aggressive about wrangling those people as whoever hired them wanted to be, it was like they kind of got some pushback and some blowback. And the funny thing is, the people who were expecting them or trying to push them to be more aggressive was white women. Which goes into the next part of this. In the conversation Mark and I were having, what I realized is that conversely, some of my most aggressive directors or bosses or whatever you want to call it were white women. But they weren't aggressive to us. And by us, I mean the minorities. Like, they would do their job, they would direct, they would do whatever. But there was a level of spice that they reserved specifically for other white people that the minorities that worked with them never got. And it wasn't like they were easier on us or they let us get away with stuff. It's just the way they spoke and the way the white women that I had as managers spoke to us was very, very different. Like it was very much like, it was very professional. It was very professional the way they spoke. They were very much about, you know, developing us and having us participate in like conferences and different developmental activities to make us stronger employees. But when I would see them unleash on other white people in meetings, I would be like, well, hold the phones. Like, they are giving it up wild in here. Like, just, but that energy was never with the minority people on their staff. So I was just kind of like, well, this is a different dynamic than I've experienced. And it was different from what I experienced with black men, because the black men never gave spice anywhere to anybody at any time ever. Like it was always very calm, very cool, very, let's just try to work this out peacefully, blah, 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 blah. Whereas the white women, like, they was cool too. But when it was time to give the spice specifically to other white people, they stayed on ready. And it was a very interesting, like, dichotomy to experience. It was very, very interesting. And I'm like, what is that about? What is that about?
Yeah. And then also I realized that, like, And black men have like a great fear of like I have to treat everybody equally also. So like they'll most likely like they'll try to treat them all equal. Like if black men see other black men who are under them, they won't be more critical publicly because once again they have this feeling that like they don't want people to think that black people act a certain way, but they might pull a little black man to the side and like, hey, pull it together.
Right.
They might do that like on the side, but like very rarely they'll do anything publicly because if they already have this mindset that like they don't want people to think that black people have it together, right? In their mind, they're like,
yeah. And then like what you just said, it made me think of something too. Like the black male bosses that I had, like they kind of looked to the black women they worked or that worked under them as some sort of like ally in the workplace. And so they would kind of be a little more open with us and kind of give us like a little peek into what might have been going on behind the scenes with the higher ups. Not in an inappropriate way, but like, you know, they would make certain comments that would kind of make it clear that, okay, you're obviously conflicted because you're being told to do this, but you don't feel comfortable because of the color of your skin. Because going back to the love it or lose it speech, there is a way that we talk as black people where we can say things without saying anything. And, you know, we're very good at reading between the lines in our communication patterns. And so, like, I remember having a few conversations, like, towards when I was leaving and when I left with my black male bosses. And they were kind of, you know, talking in the way that we talk and just kind of being like, yeah, this is what's going on. Like, have you experienced this? Have you seen this? And so it kind of made me, you know, it made me think about the fact that, you know, a lot of times I feel like black male bosses, and this is just my experience, but they often feel very gaslit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're like, is this happening? Is what I'm seeing real? Like like, is it just me? Because I feel like I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that, but I'm constantly getting this pushback or not feeling like I'm doing my job well enough and I'm not sure what to do. Or if I do take the jump to be quote unquote more aggressive, I get reprimanded for being more aggressive. So it's like, what's happening here?
Correct.
Like, am I seeing the same thing? Like, what is this?
And like, and that kind of plays into, and when we talk about black women, we talk doing in there too. But like, when I talk about like, I believe the problem with America is that black feelings don't matter. And I said it before. The problem is black feelings don't matter. Like, we talk about black lives and everything like that. But I think the core of the matter is black feelings don't matter. How we feel about something does not create policy. Policy is never created based off how we feel about it. 80% of black people can feel this is crazy, but we have to convince the white people that this feels crazy before you're like, oh, okay, it's crazy. Right. Like, so because we have this pressure of like feeling like our feelings don't matter, we start becoming more robotic in terms of feelings. Right. So we kind of start becoming more cold sometimes in how we do things, because we're like, all right, so like cold to our feelings. Yeah. Like, we feel like we have to, we're obligated to care about other people's feelings because that's what we're told. We're told we have to care about their feelings. Right. But like, in terms of our feelings, we tend to like, all right, yeah, it might have been racist, but we got to move on. Right. Yeah. It might have been racist, but we got to get this done. Yeah. Like, we're told to act that way. Told to like, this might have been racist. This might have been crazy. They might be gaslighting me, but I have to get this done. Right. I don't have time to address every time. So I have to move on. Yeah. because like, our feelings don't matter. Yeah. And it's like, how do you provide mentorship to another person, another black person, male or female, who looks like you and who you see has potential to do great things? Like, how do you provide mentorship when a part of you may feel like, I don't know if I want this person to ever experience what it's like up here, because this is what it's like. This is what you have to kind of give up or sacrifice or whatever to be successful at this level. And the reality is, you're trained to, like, when you're trained many times from other black people, like even from parents to children. And like, I just watched the if you haven't watched it, watch the Will Smith and Kevin Hart Red Table Talk. We're gonna talk about that a little later. Yeah. But basically it was kind of like when you're training another black person to win, and you're trying to teach them to like how to navigate the world and like everything, a lot of times what you're telling them to do is close up their feelings.
Yes.
A lot of times you're telling them to do that. Mm-hmm. And like even when you're trying to mentor somebody, a lot of times what you're telling them to do is close up their feelings, because the world doesn't care about your feelings.
Right. And especially in the professional world, like feelings are not welcome.
Yes. And specifically black feelings.
Yes.
Like I said, things change with other feelings.
Yeah.
Black feelings don't matter.
Yeah.
And that's
just like black guys.
And that's black men and black women. Feelings, they do not matter. Policy does not change for black feelings.
Yes.
So you tell, when you're telling black people to navigate, a lot of times you're telling them to not care about their feelings.
Like to not show their emotions. Like, yes. I had a situation at work where like somebody who worked in another department where I work was dealing with some stuff with their supervisor, and the person was very much like in their feelings about what happened, and they were rightfully in their feelings. And because people, you're entitled to feel how you feel about things that happen to you. So they had their feelings or whatever the case is, and the feelings were guiding a lot of the ways they were moving and the things they were talking about, and just it was guiding every aspect of them in the workplace. And myself and another colleague tried to tell the person, like, I feel you, but also the feelings don't matter. And you have to figure out how to turn that off in this situation, because all the feelings are doing is making more of the case for why the person is doing what you're thinking they're doing, because you're bringing too much feelings to the situation, and you just have to stop. Like, I understand that what's happening is hurting you or it's upsetting you or whatever the case is, but like, you can have that feeling one good time and then you got to move on. You can never show it again.
And this is how we're taught to act. Yeah.
And so because we were taught to act that way, I think me and the other person was like, I don't understand why these feelings keep making an appearance. Nah, like you can't, it's just not how it works here. Yeah. It's just not how it works.
So it's confusing when we're in mixed spaces and you have white people who are showing these feelings.
Like we just oh my God, I'll never forget.
When it happened, we're confused, like, what are you doing? And we're more confused if when we do the feelings and then it works. Right. And then people are like, oh, we have to change something because of these feelings. We're like, y'all care about these feelings? Feelings don't matter.
Like, I will never forget.
Feelings don't matter.
A friend of mine who used to work where I work was in a meeting with a white woman who was the director of one of the programs. And he sent a text to me like, yo, this lady in here wildin'. I guess she like said a curse word during the meeting. And he was like, me and all the other black people in the room looked around like, did this lady just cuss at the meeting? And he was like, none of the white people batted an eye. They were like, yeah, totally. We understand. Like, how can we fix this? How can we work on this? And he was like, me and the other people of color in the room was like, wait, damn. Minute. They were like, we would never, even in the angriest, most heated of moments, ever think to say a curse word. And this woman just said it and kept going. No one batted an eye. No one stopped. No one said, hey, whoa, language, none of that.
Yeah, they can't be like this. Well, obviously she's upset. Let's
figure out how we can talk her off the ledge.
She's upset. That's why she's
upset.
And
I remember getting a text like, yo, this lady just cussed. Yeah. And the people is like going up for whatever she said, and they trying to work on whatever it is she's talking about. Correct. And you talking about that reminded me of that. I remember getting that text message and I was like, yeah, man,
And that is not saying that if a black person cursed that job that they wouldn't do the same thing. We're just told from before, because of how things work. Yeah. that our feelings don't matter.
Right.
Like the nation has constantly told us that our feelings don't matter. So when we approach things, we don't have, we try not to have too many feelings.
We purposely enter into situations where we're presenting something or talking about something, trying to be as emotionless as possible, even if we're very, very passionate about it and we have very strong emotions about it, because we don't want the emotions to detract from what we're trying to say, because we know that the first thing that someone will say, if we're bringing up something that makes them uncomfortable or they don't want to hear, they don't want to talk about, why are you being so emotional about it? Kristen came in and she talked about that and she was just so emotional. Like, I didn't know what to do. She just got so emotional. And now it's like we're walking around with the black people are so emotional concept, which then turns to people feeling like they're labeling you as the emotional person. And now there's this weird cat and mouse game you're playing at work with people where it's like, well, I don't know, because, she's black and this might be a sensitive issue for black people. And, she's emotional. And so it's like, you don't want to do that either. So it's just like black people are like kind of caught in a bind where it's like, no one cares about our feelings. And because of that, even when we really do have very strong feelings about something, we can't show it because it will end up biting us in the behind later on.
And this is the last point before you get to go to black women.
And I'm sorry. And the other thing I was going to say is like, but then the other side of that coin is, if we don't seem like we have any kind of emotion, or we actively work to not show any emotion, we then become the unfriendly,
like it's just like we get to that with the black women. So like the last point I was going. See, I kind of messed up. I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I think the big problem is not only that, but like, because we're taught to not have feelings matter, when we see other black people having feelings, we criticize them. Right.
Which is what I said me and my coworker did. We was like, bruh.
Yeah. We criticize other black people for having feelings. Mm-hmm. We're like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
Like, we feel crazy about other black people having feelings. Right. And it's like, we don't, like, they should feel this way.
Right. We like, put that up, homie. Put that up.
We're always kind of like, nah, you can't.
You gotta relax on that.
You can't do that.
You gotta relax on that.
We'll quickly shut them down, especially in the workplace or a professional environment. If someone's showing too many feelings. Yeah. We'll even do it we'll do it in a lot of, like, not even at work, we'll do it at church. Like, if someone's showing too much emotions and feelings about something, we're kind of like, can you do this in a more chill, like, just bring the figures and numbers. Like, don't give me all the emotion with it. Right. How you feel? Nah. Right. Just tell, like, we get upset. Yeah. So it's so damaging, I think, there. Yeah. But like, moving on to the counter is, well, not the counter, but like, it's weird how black women, like black men, I'm sorry, we tend to be a lot more extra accommodating as a professional. On the flip side, a lot of times when people think of black women in leadership, they always say that they're too aggressive, right? Not too aggressive. Too aggressive is the wrong word.
Depending on who you ask, aggressive is the right word, but
yeah, but like that's not like they're too strict.
Yeah, they're too strict. Yeah.
They're very cut and dry with how they do things. Like, aggressive is not the right word. Yeah. They're very cut and dry with how they, this is the book, we do it by the book, that's it. Nothing else. So so their way of like handling it is kind of like, people have constantly been telling us that we're too emotional. So we need to be cut and dry. 1 + 1 = 2. There is no room for error. Yeah. Because anytime we do something, people are going to think that we're too emotional. So we have to be very 1 + 1 = 2 for everything. And because people are humans, when you do that, people feel like, oh, I don't like how this person moves. Yeah. And they become very protective and they're very cut off because of that. Because and like, I'm not sure if because like, I know you've had a lot more positive experiences in the work field than many, I guess, people who are black women going through it. But like what I've heard is like a lot of black women like fighting through whether it's racist comments, different kinds of sexist comments, like on both like racist and sexist comments in the work field and everything, of how to navigate that. So like they become, and how they navigate, they start becoming more robotic on how they have to navigate their environment. So they become, that's how they become professional. And so it's such a weird counterpoint of how each gender handles distress. Yeah. Like a black man's response is to be excessively accommodating to everything, and to show, even though they know they don't care about emotions, I have to show that like I have all these emotions. I care about your emotions. I care about everything you do. So you don't think I'm too aggressive. Right. On the other side, because everybody keeps thinking that the woman is going to be emotional all the time, I need to be robotic. Right. I need to do the exact opposite. I need to be robotic and everything to show, not to show emotion, because I need to show you that I'm just as good as every other man or white man here. To be robotic. So it's like, it's such a weird dynamic that you have from both sides. Yeah.
Because I feel like...
And both don't work.
Both don't work, yes. Like, my experience with black and women of color in general, bosses, is that they tend to be harder to
women.
Yeah, harder to women than anyone else I think I've ever encountered. And not even saying harder to women like they only pick on women and they're nice to men. Like, that's not what I'm saying. They're just harder in general. Like, and I don't know if it's... I'm sure part of it is, like you said, the women are emotional thing that they're trying to avoid. It's also, working in male dominated fields. It's also, having the issue of being a person of color and people underestimating you. So you're fighting the sexism and you're fighting the racism battle as a black female or person of color female leader. So I kind of get why there's this like armor up almost when it comes to dealing with people and managing people, because it's like, if like, and especially when you're a woman who has to manage men, you almost have to be like that, because and I've seen it, a lot of men will show more respect to another man than they will a woman, even if the woman's more qualified than the man, the woman is more senior than the man. They will show more respect to the man in the situation more so than they'll show a woman, especially if it's a woman of color. Like, there are a lot of men, both of color and otherwise, who really seem to have a problem being managed by women of color. Like, it really ticks them off. And so in my experience, like the women of color bosses that I've had, like, it's very hard to get to the softer side of them. Like, you have to kind of know, like, it's like almost years, I feel like, but if you're working with them for that long before you even get to that part, because they're so tough on the outside. It's like, it's all about business. It's all about this. It's all about that. Like, there's no, like, my female bosses of color have been like, it's like they almost don't even know how to have fun. Like, when we would have, like, baby showers for people, or bridal showers or Christmas parties or anything like that, like, you could see that they were always kind of like holding back from fully participating in the event, because it was like they could never relax. Like, they always had to be like on. Meanwhile, the male bosses, black or otherwise, would get up and dance and participate and do whatever. But it's like the women, in my experience, never felt like they could not be on. They felt like they always had to be in boss mode all the time. And I'm like, that seems exhausting.
Yeah. Like that's how it was with when I was working at the organization before. Before, it's just like the organization culture was kind of like, we don't talk outside of work. Yeah. That's kind of the culture of it, which is not a regular culture of business.
Right. Yeah.
But the culture of the organization was kind of like, we don't really talk outside of work. it's like a big thing to like hang out after work. It's like it's not a normal occurrence.
Yeah,
and it's like the organization I was a part of was just predominantly black. It's just you have to be. If we feel like you got to be on all the time. Yeah, and not being on around your. It's seen as unprofessional.
Yeah,
it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's very weird. And I also found that as a black woman, the women of color bosses that I had a I don't know what the right way to say it is. It's like they had a standard for other women of color in the office that
Black men do it too.
I expect you to emulate or be like what I'm doing, because what I'm doing or what I have done is the way to get to where I am. And so this is what you need to be doing. This is how you need to be presenting yourself. This is how you need to be X, Y, and Z. Like the non-black or non-people of color bosses that I've had that are female weren't like they were still mentoring, but they were just kind of like, here are the things. You can take a look at whatever these are and decide what works for you, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't the case with the people of color, the women of color that I had as bosses. It was like, this is the path. This is what you have to do. This is how you have to dress. This is how you have to wear your hair. This is how you have to put on your, like, it was very like systematic and like, this is how you get on, essentially.
And there's a lot of reasons behind it. Number one, a lot of times I realize that white people don't say certain things to black people in general because they're worried always talking about being called racist all the time.
Right.
So a lot of times they just don't say certain things. They was like, they might be called racist, so let me just... Right. Which is to your point of white people talking white people crazy.
Yeah.
White people talk to white people crazy all the time because they're like, oh, they don't think, like, I can talk this way.
Right.
They're not going to talk to black people a certain way because, like, I don't want them to think
I don't want anybody going to HR.
Yeah, correct. So that does happen. But, like, yeah, what you're saying is true. And black men do the same thing. Like, if you think about any black CEOs, most CEOs or black managers or anything like that, and the black men that are under them, they usually are similar to them. It's never usually someone who's not that similar to how they operate. It's not the white breath of black people. It's usually a very particular, very similar to how they are, because they're like, this is like the kind of person I'm hiring, or someone who, because I feel like my formula is the way that black people should work to succeed. So we should do that.
Yeah.
A lot of times black men and black women, they do have this like mother or mentor thing anytime another black person goes under them. And sometimes that person is not asking for you to be a mentor.
Yeah, they don't want that.
But like a lot of times they feel like I'm obligated to be a mentor.
But I don't want it.
Correct. But
like I've been offered it, I'm like, respectfully.
Yeah, but like, so like they'll assume that like, all right, this is a black man who is a black person under me, or who is the lower position to me. Let me tell them let me show them the way I've did to get there, which I understand. Right. Like you want this person to succeed in there, but the reality is how everybody approaches it is different. There's not one way to approach it.
Right.
And the way that some people get it of like I said, being more accommodating, it might not be the best thing for them. Right. And everything. And once again, a lot of times when you're doing that, you're teaching somebody how to cut off their emotions. Yeah. And which is unhealthy. Because especially, do you want to talk about, I guess we'll just talk about that right after this topic. Because like it goes hand in hand with the right table talk. So we'll talk about it after Artist Spotlight. But yeah, that's really what that is. Anything else on this?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like, in my experiences, like my female of color bosses have kind of been the harder ones to work for, and not in the sense that they've been incompetent or anything like that, but it's like their standard of what they want is like so high, and not like it's a bad thing to have a high standard, but it's just like you felt the pressure working for them, as opposed to other types of bosses I've had, I didn't feel the same pressure. Like I understood that I was expected to do a job and whatever the case may be, but like I never felt the pressure. But I guess it's because the women already feel like they have this pressure to disprove so many stereotypes and prove that they're competent and prove whatever, that kind of trickles down to the people who work for them. And so you always feel this pressure of, I have to do a great job. Am I doing a great job? What's going on? Like it's a level of pressure that I recognize that I feel or have felt with female bosses of color versus female bosses of color. And I think that's very interesting too, because it's like, again, sexism rears its ugly head. And, you know, when you're leading certain, you know, programs, departments, whatever, you have to prove that you are better than as a woman. Like that's, I think the mindset that a lot of women in the professional world have is like, I have to prove that I am better than, not even as good as, but better than a man doing the same thing that I'm doing. And if it means I need to push my people into madness to prove it, I'm okay with that. But I'm going to show that I am more than capable, and I'm more than capable of managing this team to help it meet its goals for whoever set these goals. So it's just very, it's just a very different experience. And like I said, when we were having this conversation in the car, I was kind of thinking about like, yeah, like I've definitely felt more pressure, more anxiety in certain leadership, under different leadership styles than in others. And, you know, it's so many like deeper issues at play besides just like male, female, but it's very interesting. So, you know, take a moment, think about it. Think about your own experiences. Like, what if your experiences may be completely different? You might have a totally flipped opposite experience, you know, given your industry. Like my industry, you know, is primarily female, dominated. There are men, but not on the side that I'm on necessarily. It's a lot more women dominated, I would say, but you know, and I work in the public sector. It might be a totally different vibe in the private sector and a totally different industry. So I would definitely like to hear like other people's thoughts and experiences and whatnot, because I feel like it's definitely not a one size fits all. So I just want to say that it's not a one size fits all. This is literally just me and Mark's lived experiences that we're talking about right now. So yeah, that was our topic. Now we are going to move on to Artist Spotlight. So this week's Artist Spotlight is a beautiful Black woman by the name of Ashley Dubose. She was on season 5 of The Voice. She has a single out called Intoxicated. That's not the one we're going to play, but that's probably the one people know the most. She began singing and writing music when she was 10. And her inspirations were Britney Spears, Destiny's Child, and Aaliyah. That was kind of her first inkling into wanting to be a performer and a songwriter. Her first performance was in the 6th grade when she performed in her school's talent show. From there, she went on to like do all types of open mics and concerts and other activities. In 2012, she released an EP. I'm a liar. An album called Something More while she was in college, when she was a mom. She has her bachelor's degree in mathematics. Yes, God, we love a Black excellent woman. Okay. She also went ahead and released an acoustic version of the album the following year. In 2013, she auditioned for The Voice, and her audition actually resulted in all 4 of the judges turning around to choose her. She ended up being on Team Adam. Adam is Adam Levine from, what's that band, Maroon 5? And she was in the top 32 of the show. When she got released from the show, she went back to working on her album, and she released BU in 2015. So yeah, she's been out here putting out music for several years, and she's been performing at all types of jazz festivals and places and things, and just getting her life together. So yeah, that is Miss Ashley Dubose, and we are going to play her song. It's called Better, I believe. I like her voice. It's very pretty. It's very, it's giving. It's very nice, very clear. I just like her music. It's real vibey. I feel like it's nice, let me clean up kind of music. How I first heard about her, I was actually, I think, washing dishes or something. And I just let the India Ari album play, and she came up. And I was like, oh, I like this girl. Let me find out. So she's popping. So here is Better by Ashley Dubose. Dubose.
It's gonna be sunny outside. Sometimes you find yourself right smack dab in the middle of a dark cloud that seems to stick around for a while. And while everybody's smiling, you find yourself wondering why it happens to you, and only you, and never them. But right around the corner there's a place where you'll find yourself thinking, wow, if only I knew then what I know now. Yeah, it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. Single mamas working hard to provide, to my young brothers hustling trying to survive. Oh yeah, this is for my students worried about tuition, attendance, scraping up past the rent. And we know money ain't always the issue, got heartache and heartbreak. I hate yous, I miss you. And the loss of love, what cut the deepest? It's hard living knowing you'll never see them. But right around the corner there's a place where you'll find yourself thinking, wow, if only I knew then what I know now. Yeah, it gets better. It gets better. It gets better.
It gets better.
Yes, that was Ashley Dubose, Better. She's got some music on the internet, so just go on your favorite streaming service and get into it. She's got vocals, she's got songs for you kids.
Word.
It's gonna be lit. So let's get into this week in the randoms.
This week in random.
So yes, as Mark mentioned before, Will Smith and Kevin Hart did a
Red
Table Talk, where the two of them commiserated about being black male celebrities and the things that they've gotten into in the public snafus they've had over the years. I'll be honest with you, I started off not caring about this because what I really want to see is the Will Smith, August Alsina Red Table Talk. I will tune in for that. I want to see that.
That's fine.
I do. I want to get to the bottom of that storyline. I know you do
because you like messy stuff.
I do. That's well publicized. It's not a secret. I enjoy messy things, especially when it has nothing to do with me. That's the best part. I like to watch other people's mess.
That's fine.
It's great. But I know it's never going to happen. It's great for me and my entertainment. It might not be great for them. It might end in a brawl, but I would also be entertained by that. But yes, Will and Kevin did a Red Table Talk. Just the lead up to it was kind of funny because Kevin apparently lives 5 minutes away and was still late and did the black
like an hour and a half.
By an hour and a half late and was lying about how far away he was. But black people like to lie. Whenever a black person says I'm on the way, they're still inside their house. They have not left. They're probably not even dressed. But black people love to say I'm on the way. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, he's not on the way. He's absolutely lying. Let's see how long it takes him to get there. But it was a great Red Table Talk. It was a great conversation about a lot of things, about like dealing with being a celebrity and watching the things you say. And, you know, because Kevin Hart was talking about how he used to make jokes about his ex-wife, and his oldest daughter had to be like, bro, you have to stop making those jokes about my mother because people are approaching me and approaching my mother in public about these jokes that you're making, and it's not funny. And he even talked about the whole cheating scandal and how, like, you know, she helped him to understand the things that you do don't just impact you. Because what Kevin Hart was saying was like, yeah, like, I don't really have nobody around me. It's just my team and my family. So I'm very shielded from a lot of public commentary about things. But my kid goes to school. She has the internet. Like, she deals with the brunt of the things that I do and say and the mistakes I make. And I guess he was like, yo, that daughter is on my behind. She checks me all the time. And so I've had to become more cognizant of the things I do and say because they have real blowback on people who have nothing to do with what I've done or said. And another important part of the conversation I thought was interesting was them talking about raising kids and what that entails and what they thought it was supposed to be versus what they now know it is.
Yeah, I think which kind of goes into our topic, but like what I was saying was before was like we have this sometimes as fathers, and some people might do it too. I'm not going to just put it only in fathers. Mothers might do it too. It's sometimes we feel as if like being a good parent means to make sure that making sure our kids win, right? Mm-hmm. So like we're like, all right, we're gonna make sure you win. So Will Smith was like, all right, all the kids need that. Jaden got this. Willow got this. I'm gonna make sure that my kids win. I'll make sure that they're good at what they're doing to make sure they're successful. That's my contribution of me being a good father, a loving father. My expression of love is making sure you win. And the funny thing is, I've seen this post many times on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram, where like black people will say the biggest thing you can do to make sure the biggest love you can show your kids is showing them how to win. Mm-hmm. I've seen those words. Yeah. I've seen it like if the biggest way you can show love, not showing love to your child is to not showing them how to be successful and make and be great success. Like that is what you're showing the service to your child. You're not showing love to your child, but doing that. Like so, this is a common thing. This is not an uncommon thing. The problem is like like I said before, showing someone how to win is also showing them how not to feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like what like they were saying was like me being like a CEO or manager, being a CEO or manager or something. They're kind of like, all right, do this. Gotta get this done. We need that done. Great. What they're like quick doing that, which doesn't work in a family because how someone feels matters.
Yes.
But like as a CEO manager, they're told that like their feelings don't matter. Once again, like my feelings don't matter. I have to get this done. Like why? Like I don't really care about how I feel. So you want me to care about you feel also? No, yeah. This needs to get done.
Right.
And like the funny story, like, and it goes hand in hand with like the story that Will Smith told during 444. It goes hand in hand with both of them because like in this story he was talking about like how Will Smith was like, nah, this has to get done. We got to get this done. And Willow was like, nah, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
He's like, no, but.
And this is when Willow was doing her hair, whip my hair back and forth.
Like she was on tour
because he was saying Jaden was on tour. Jaden was doing Karate Kid. Like he basically was setting his kids up to make money independent of him and Jada.
So like setting him up to win.
Yes.
Willow, like they were on a whip your hair tour. So hair is a big part of this.
Yes, because the whole thing is whip my hair back and forth. It's the whole story.
On the tour. They were on tour. He performed like 2 times. And they had like a 10-city tour.
Yeah.
And like he performed twice. And that night after she finished it, she was like, all right, Daddy, I'm done. And she was what 10, 11 at the time. She was like a tween. Yeah. And her father was like, well, yeah, you can't be done because we have 10 cities. We have to go and
finish the rest of the
tour. I know
tour.
you don't want to, but we have to do this tour because your people are expecting you. You have to get this done.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm done. And she was like, and Will Smith said he woke up in the morning and she cut all her hair off. For the whip your hair tour.
So it was like, I guess we got to cancel because she ain't got no hair to whip.
She was like, no, I'm done. Right. I don't want to do this anymore.
What Willow said was, you're obviously not an auditory learner. Perhaps you have some kind of an IEP. I have said to you repeatedly, I do not want to do this. I am done. You keep trying to tell me that I have to. So how about this? Seems like you're a visual learner. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this hair off. And then we're going to meet up and revisit what I told you from yesterday. That I ain't trying to do this no more.
Yeah. So Will was like, so
she's serious.
So she said she's done. So I guess
doesn't want to.
I guess we're going home.
Yes, I guess that's that on that.
So I'm
sure he was sick because he lost a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's like you're not addressing the emotion, and like we're told like no, you put together your emotion. You put your emotions to the side and do what you have to do.
Right.
Naomi Osaka, same thing. Like she was like, hey, I'm not feeling these interviews. I don't want to do this right now because my emotional state is not really should be. They were like, no, if you do this, you got to find it. She's like, great, I'll pay it, but I can't do this emotionally.
Right. Yeah.
And they were like, well, no, then we're going to, he's like, all right, so I'm not doing this.
Like, I quit.
I'm not going to do it.
Y'all can have it, respectfully.
Because... Once again, how I feel. She said how I feel matters. And the funny thing is, once again, she did that. Some people were in support of her. Some people were like, no, you can't just do that. You can't just act like you're like, no, my feelings matter.
Yes. Because when we, and like what in with the situation with Willow Smith, like, what Will had to kind of understand is I'm teaching her to dishonor her feelings by forcing herself to do something that she does not want to do.
Correct.
And yes, there are plenty of us every day who get up and go do something we don't want to do every day because we have to provide for a family. We have to take care of things, like whatever the case is. So we don't often have the luxury to say, no, I don't want to do this because I don't like it or whatever the case is. Like, I understand real life just does not facilitate that for people sometimes, but
you still have to address your feelings.
We still have to address our feelings, and we still have to teach our children to address their feelings, because if they don't know how to articulate to themselves or to other people that they don't like something, or they're not feeling something, or they don't want to do something, they're going to spend the rest of their life doing things, being a part of things that they don't want to be a part of, that don't honor them, simply because they don't know how to say no, or they don't know how to say, I don't feel right about this. I don't think this is okay. I don't whatever. And, you know, that's one of the ways we teach our children to win, because we've been taught not to do that. We've been taught to just go along to get along. We haven't been taught to establish our boundaries and to say no to things. Like, did Willow die because she stopped doing the tour? No.
Yeah, she figured out what she wants to do.
She figured out what
she does like rock. She has like a rock music group or something.
Yeah, but in that moment, that was too much for her.
Yeah,
and she said, and I appreciate that her parents, like, eventually
they learned
and listened to what she said, because I feel like when I look at some of these like other Disney kids, and not Disney kids, but you know what I mean, other child stars and celebrity children who were doing stuff, like a lot of those kids are like messed up today. And I wonder how much of it is, at some point they wanted to stop doing this because it didn't feel good anymore, and they were told, no, you can't stop doing it.
They use the term, some people, you got to do things you don't have to do.
Sometimes you got to do things you don't have to. And it's like, no, actually, you don't. If you
not as a child. As a child, you shouldn't have to.
As a child, you shouldn't have to.
Yes.
As a child, you shouldn't have to. And so I think I'm glad that they didn't do that, because I'm like, I can only imagine where she would be now had they continued forcing her to do something she didn't want to do. Because it's like, if she had gone ahead and did it, then they would have been like, oh, well, even if she says she wants to quit again the next time, we'll just push her because she's just getting lazy. And it's like, at some point you learn as a kid, my feelings don't matter. What I want doesn't matter. I just have to say yes to whatever people want to make them happy. And that just creates an unhealthy dynamic that people never break as adults.
Sometimes you have to have that conversation. Do you want your child to be quickly successful, or do you want them to be happy? Mm-hmm. And many times they're not the same thing.
That's a fact.
Many times they're not the same thing. Many times, like, you have to sometimes you have to choose happiness over that.
Exactly. The kids have plenty of time to live hard parts of life.
Yeah.
They should be able to have the childhood part of it be as childhoody as possible.
Correct. And I think I know where it comes from, because like I'm sure people listening feel the same way. Like, they're like, oh, I want my child to go further than I did.
Yes. And I want them to be aware of the challenges of the real world.
Yeah. I want them to go further than that. I want them to, wherever I was, I want them to go further than that. So we push them from at an early age, like, we need to go further than I have. Mm-hmm. But you have to make sure you address their emotional needs, and like make you understand that they still need to be, like, they shouldn't have to be making these choices between being happy and being successful. Right.
At 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that serious. Like, I'm not saying,
because if they don't do that, then if they don't figure out how to choose happiness, then it makes it worse later. Yeah. Because now they're trying to they're constantly like, all right, I'm not worried about my happiness. Their happiness
they're constantly people pleasing.
Yeah. And they start going with, my happiness doesn't matter. Yeah. And then that's when sometimes depression comes in, because like, no one cares about my happiness.
Right. And that's why I said, like, I feel like a lot of these kids who did Disney, like, a lot of them are heavy into drugs, heavy into alcohol. Like, they're very depressed because they were pushed to do something that they may have wanted to stop doing at some point, but weren't given the opportunity because they were probably the first ones in their family to have such an opportunity to be on Disney or be in movies or whatever the case is. And they were sort of guilted into feeling like, well, so many other people want this spot and you have it, so you should do it, even though it went against how they felt. And now they have trouble coping with life because they kind of compromise themselves and their happiness to do something for other people. And now it's a pattern that people expect for you to continue to complete. So like, when you finally do stand up and say no, you get this pushback, and suddenly you have you have less prospects than you did before. So it's a really complicated dance that people have to do. And, you know, I think as parents, we have to do our best to honor that with our kids. Like, you know, you might have a kid that's in an activity, like let's say they go to soccer, like, and then one day they decide they don't want to do soccer anymore. Have a conversation about it. Find out why. Is it like a legit issue? Like they just don't want to play the sport anymore. They're not interested. Or is there something else going on? But there should be some kind of conversation about what this desire and where these feelings are coming from, as opposed to just pushing them to keep going.
And just because somebody's good at something doesn't mean they want to do it. Right.
They could be very good at it and just be like, I just think this is a hobby. I think this is a fun thing. I don't want to do it. Okay.
That makes you think about Dana. Because like I remember like when I found out that she was very good at making websites, I was like, oh, you should be doing that. And she was like, nah, I don't want to do this. Right. I was like, but you're good at it. Right. Do it. And she's like, no, nah, I don't want to do that at all. No. I have no interest in doing these websites. None whatsoever. Oh, I guess. Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess you don't. Yeah. And like if like just because you're good at something doesn't mean you want to do it.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right.
I just hit myself right in the face with a mic. Up next. So as we talked about earlier in the podcast, Juneteenth. And sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty.
So. If you all in the audio sphere, Kristen is giving me. She's very upset with me with playing that. So,
what was that? What was it? What key was it in?
I don't know.
Why was it happening? So many questions, not enough answers.
So, when there was, I guess, making it official, the Juneteenth holiday as a federal holiday, I don't know why they decided to have this terrible singer at the microphone.
Could no one else in the room have done this?
Like, why did they decide that?
What is this?
They didn't plan it right. The least you can do is understand the importance of having a good singer sing, lift their voice and sing.
Please, we beg.
Yes. I also laughed at John Oliver when he's talking about Nancy Pelosi acting like she knows the words to lift her voice and sing.
Like, y'all got to stop with this performative nonsense in 2021. It's upsetting me and my homegirls. And I just don't, there's no need. We don't have to do this. Like, that's the piece I need us to walk away from this with. It's like, this is not a must have. Dear non-blacks, you do not, under any circumstances, have to sing the Black National Anthem. You do not have to wear the kente cloths or the dashikis we don't need any of it. Just move on in the name of Jesus. We do not need this. Just leave us as a people alone.
And as Avery would say, that's noisy.
Mm-hmm. What's that noise?
What's that noise?
What's that noise? What's that noise? Because good God, we might have to add that drop in the
what's that noise?
In the release because what was it? What was it? The people want to know. It was upsetting. It was very upsetting.
Yeah,
I didn't need it.
I might add that drop.
I didn't need it.
What's that noise?
What's that noise? What's that noise? Because what was it? What was it? We didn't need this. No. In case you hadn't heard, as of January 17th of this year, Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. And it hasn't even been a week, and people are already doing the absolute most that they can do. I love this very offensive noise that Mark was playing. I refuse to call it singing because it's a number of things, but it's not that. The offensive noise that Mark was playing before was one of the few bloopers of the Juneteenth celebration. I also saw people on social media talking about people sending messages about sales and things, and I'm already irritated for Juneteenth 2022. Because people have a whole year to come with a whole bunch of unnecessary ish to roll out for Juneteenth. I anticipate Hallmark having a whole line of cards for Juneteenth. I anticipate the car dealerships and the stores having Juneteenth sales. What is that? What is it?
The Juneteenth flag. stuff on my...
This is what I'm talking about. The thing just became a holiday 5 days ago, and here y'all go. Get that out of here. I'm upset. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I smacked your phone away.
It's a personalized flag. It's personalized.
Just the irritation of seeing.
It's personalized for Sophia. Sophia needs a personalized.
Get it out of my face. No. Absolutely not. No. Juneteenth has been an official federal thing for 5 days, and y'all are already working what little nerves I have left with your nonsense. So I know next year, after 365 whole days of time to come up with the BS, y'all gonna have me tight next Juneteenth. Tight. Y'all gonna have shirts. Y'all gonna have car dealership sales. Macy's gonna have a sale. JCPenney's gonna have a sale. Everybody gonna have a Juneteenth sale. I'm sick of y'all. Sick. What is that?
Which is why I kind of didn't want to
Jesus, that's right.
Once again, this is what happens when we make Juneteenth a federal holiday without having critical race theory.
How are you quote unquote banning critical race theory, which no one teaches in K through 12 education? Critical race theory, for people who don't know, was developed by a lawyer in response to her experience in the criminal justice field, and it is taught exclusively to law students as a lens through which to understand the law and how it impacts different racial groups. That is who it's for. That is who critical race theory is for. So when these legislators are talking about they're banning critical race theory in the public school system, they're not even teaching it there, you idiot. So what are you banning? There's nothing to ban because it's not even happening in that arena. Good God Almighty. Y'all just don't want to have conversations about race issues in this country and about slavery. Y'all don't want kids to talk about that. That's what you're trying to ban. But that and critical race theory are literally not the same thing. Literally not. But it's just the new buzzword that y'all are throwing around. Like, I don't know if you saw Mark Lamont Hill. He was interviewing this guy who's running for a congressional seat in Georgia. And the guy couldn't even define what critical race theory is. And then I saw this video of this black woman in Florida saying that I don't want critical race theory taught in schools because y'all are telling my kid that she's oppressed. Ma'am, she black. She live here. She is. Like, I'm not sure what the discussion is, but it's like people don't understand what critical race theory is. All they hear is the race part, and they just jump to conclusions without even doing the most basic of Googles to understand what's happening, where it's at. But whatever. But to your point, if we're not discussing race at all, or we're banning discussing race, how are you going to explain Juneteenth? You can't talk about race. You can't talk about it because you said it's dividing the kids or whatever it is. Juneteenth is a very specifically racially targeted activity / holiday / celebration. So how you ban the discussion about race, or are attempting to ban the discussion about race,
21
but don't
states.
want to have, but want to have a federal holiday for Juneteenth.
21 states have introduced or passed legislation in recent weeks to ban the teaching of critical race theory.
I'm sorry, I was getting ready to curse. Because they're stupid. Critical race theory is not taught. Okay, pause. The United States Department of Education, along with the state departments of education, essentially dictate what the curriculum is that is being taught and tested on in public schools in the United States. Unless you Negroes have been citing critical race theory as something to be taught in the K through 12 curriculum in public schools in this country, it has never been taught. It has never been taught. It is not part of the official curriculum. So how are you banning something that you don't even have in the curriculums that you create to teach the students and test them on? I swear to God, I have to leave this country. I can't. Because the stupidity is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Like, you make the rules about what the teachers can teach in the class. So how are you banning something that you haven't given the teachers to teach? Help me understand. Walk sis through it. Because sis don't understand. I'm sorry. I get very annoyed when people do stupid things. So I apologize if I'm yelling or you can hear me tapping on the table aggressively. I'm very, very sorry. I just had to get that off my chest because I've been hearing a lot of these conversations swirling around, and it's just like, it's the stupidity for me. It's the dumb for me. It's the anti-intellectual for me. It's just. But anyways, long story short, I need y'all to keep y'all Juneteenth antics to yourselves. I don't want to see none of the foolishness, but I know y'all coming with it. I'm gonna be mad again next year, but just let's not, okay? Respectfully, like, let's just leave. Let's just let the people who Juneteenth is for have it, and let's not try to let's not try to make this into a Valentine's Day type situation. Like, please stop. I don't want to see it commercialized. I don't want to see any of that. Leave it alone. Another interesting thing that's come up as part of the Juneteenth conversation is who can celebrate Juneteenth, because apparently there seems to be a distinction, which I don't necessarily disagree with. So there are some ADOS people, and for those who don't know what that is, African descendants of slaves who live in the United States, who are of the belief that the only people that should be celebrating Juneteenth are Black Americans, i.e., not me, not immigrants from Africa, not anybody, but people who are literal African descendants of slaves. So Michelle Obama can celebrate, but Barack can't. Just for context. I don't know if I necessarily disagree. Some people are upset about it. I don't know if I necessarily disagree. And the reason I feel that way is because I am not an African descendant of slaves. In the United States, but like, we have our own thing where I'm from.
The only reason why
I kind of feel like I don't have a dog in the fight. If y'all don't want me to celebrate it at school, y'all can have it. It's cool.
Yeah. Only reason I disagree is because it's like me celebrating. It's like I guess celebrating another holiday. Mm-hmm. That I don't it's like me celebrating Pride Month. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm not a part of it.
Right.
But I'm just like,
you're an ally.
I'm an ally. I support your ability to express yourselves.
Right.
It's not for me. Mm-hmm. But I can still support what it is. And the same thing. I think that you can support something even though it doesn't directly affect you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I agree with like no one else can celebrate it but them. I think that's weird. On the flip side, I do understand like the concept of. So I understand like if people are confused about like other people throwing full events for things that don't affect them.
Right.
Meaning, I shouldn't throw a party then.
Oh, what, a pride party?
Yes. I shouldn't do that and throw something and try to profit off of that. No, I shouldn't.
Right. But I feel like I'm married to an African American, so I feel like I can tap dance into Juneteenth by default.
Yes, but you
and my child is half African American.
But you would do it with me.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. But I would definitely not throw a Juneteenth because honestly, I don't know enough about Juneteenth to do.
Correct. So I think that
one of our listeners said, if ADOS is on that tip, no soup jumu for you on January 1st. Get out of my inbox and stop trying to invite yourself. I'm slaying.
That's not.
I'm slaying. No soup jumu.
That's
no
fine.
soup jumu for you. I ain't got no beef. I'm coming to get the soup jumu. It's no problem.
Yeah, I'll be there.
You'll be there. I'll be there.
Yes. It's not saying you can't celebrate. Like I said, I think the
well, that's what there's some of the people that saying that you can't.
But I'm pretty sure it's not.
Who's going to stop me?
I'm pretty sure it's not most.
Yes.
I'm pretty positive it's not most people.
Yeah. I was like, I'm
pretty sure it's just the loudest people.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was kind of like, well, I don't really know if the non-African Americans were jumping to celebrate it in the first place. Like, my timeline is full of people I went to school with and that I know in real life, most of whom are some version of African or West Indian. And I didn't see a whole lot of them talking about Juneteenth. I mostly saw the actual African American people talking about Juneteenth. So I don't think any of the Africans or Caribbeans was pressed to celebrate, like, to make a big deal about it in the first place. I think they were mostly like, well, I'll go to an event and show support if they doing some type of Juneteenth festival. But like, I don't think any West Indians or Africans was like, I'm throwing a Juneteenth function. Like, I don't think we're doing that.
I also get more annoyed when, like, those are the people who they highlight. Black people doing what? I'm here. I was like, that one black person.
Right.
Like, I feel as if it's
right.
not.
Like, that one person has a feeling about something.
I feel as if it's not a primary issue.
Right. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. Like, that one person has a problem.
Yeah. I don't think it's that serious.
Right. It's never that serious.
I don't think it's a predominantly thing at all. I don't think that's the case.
Facts. Los factos.
But yeah.
Los factos.
But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, let us know what y'all thoughts are about, the ADOS and Juneteenth and all that. Speaking of Juneteenth, ABC had a Juneteenth special. They whipped something together very quickly, I'm sure, after the legislation passed.
I don't want to know this. I don't want to watch it.
There were some performances, and one of the ones that was most talked about was Chloe Bailey from Chloe and Halle. She's a beautiful young lady, beautiful voice, very talented musician. She came up there and sang "Feeling Good" by what the lady name? Nina Simone. And I saw the performance, and I'm not gonna hold you. It was definitely giving me cognitive dissonance, because I don't know if you've ever seen any documentaries, anything about Nina Simone, or anything about her work or her music, but the song and the accompanying choreography just did not come together for me. Like, never in my life did I ever think I would see body rolls, twerks, and flips across the sage to a Nina Simone song. It's never how I saw it going, but that's how it went. And, like I said, beautiful girl, gorgeous girl, beautiful voice, very talented. But she also was lip syncing. And I was just like, you're doing so much when you could do so little. Like, you could have just come up there, put on a nice dress, and sang. You came up there in a sparkly leotard, giving me Formation Tour energy, to sing a Nina Simone song for a Juneteenth event. And I just felt like, what is the reason, ma'am? What are you doing? Why? Like, Juneteenth is from what I understand, Juneteenth is celebratory, but there's also a certain level of solemn and respect and reverence associated with Juneteenth. And I just felt like that didn't come through.
It's not really it's not a celebration of art.
Yeah.
It's not like a festival kind of day. And that's the reason why, like, when people I think that's what it is. I think people keep asking how to celebrate. And like, when they say that, I'm always like, it's kind of like, it's not really it's a kind of a solemn thing. Cause it's not like, you shouldn't have put in slaves in the first place. Yeah. So like, I'm not celebrating when you finally act right. Right. Just act right.
And like, was late. Letting me know that y'all ain't acted right.
Cause I'm like, I don't know if it's really like happy they were free, but I'm like, you shouldn't have slaved us. So it's like, it's a weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And so her performance was just very confusing. And, I feel like it was met with mixed reviews. Like, there were people who loved it, who thought she did a great job, who thought she gave vocals, whatever. And then there were people who were just like, girl, what is this? Why you came here and did this? Like, what was the reason? And I was in the latter of the why you came and did this. What was the reason? Because, for one, you are a way more talented and better artist than this. For two, I just didn't feel like this was the moment or the opportunity or the time.
And that's not a dancing song.
It's not. Which is why I was confused even more.
And like,
she was singing it in the original cadence, and it was just like, what is?
And if you're dancing to it, it's more of like a dramatic.
Yes, it's an interpretive liturgical tea. It's not. it's not whatever that was. And there was a lot of backlash she received about it. ABC took it down off of their platform. So I guess if you want to watch it, you have to find it on YouTube. But ABC removed it from the documentation of the event that they put on, because people were like, what is this? And then that brought up a whole nother conversation about Nina Simone and Kamala Harris, because apparently when Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of California, she basically got Nina Simone's estate away from the family, and now it's being managed by somebody that's not part of Nina Simone's family. And so Nina Simone's daughter came out and talked about, this is what happens when the family doesn't manage the legacy, because you got people doing stuff like this, and we would never have cleared something like this if this was us. And, you know, talked about how Kamala Harris basically like forced the family into giving up the ownership of the estate to someone else.
What was the reason behind it?
I guess the feeling was the other people could do a better job at managing it than the family could.
Yeah, but like, how does the government able to step in and do that is the question.
I guess someone petitioned the state of California to manage the estate, and I guess as the Attorney General, Kamala Harris was
someone petitioned
way.
for, I guess, based off of,
like, I guess some music industry people petitioned in some way. Like, it's a whole story. I can't remember all the details, but that came up, which was an interesting, like, sidebar tidbit. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to read up on that, but that was interesting. So we're gonna move on. Chloe, don't do that again, okay? I mean, it got you what you were hoping for in terms of people talking about the performance and talking about you, but don't do that again, Chloe. Don't do that again. It just wasn't appropriate. I don't know. Did you hear about this lady, Dr. Aruna Keelanani? So basically, she was doing an interview with, I believe it was Mark Lamont Hill again. And basically, she's a psychotherapist in the city. And she basically said in no uncertain terms that white people are psychopathic. She said some really interesting things. She basically said that at one point she fantasized about shooting white people, which is, you know, wild. Even if you think that, you shouldn't say that out loud, sis. It's crazy. But I did think that she had some validity in her points in explaining why she thinks white people are psychopathic. She said, I think so, yeah, in response to the question, do you think they're psychopathic? I think that there's many lies. The level of lying that white people do that has started since colonialism, we're just used to it. Every time that you steal a country, you loot, you say you've discovered something. I mean, this level of lies is actually a part of history. We don't say that we killed all these people. We got rid of all the Native Americans. We say we discovered America. You don't talk about the level of death. You don't talk about the level of what actually occurred. You wipe the slate clean. You sanitize the violence, and you actually got lost along the way trying to discover India, and then you say you discovered something. And this level of discovery is everywhere. You discovered vegetarianism, you discovered yoga, you discovered everything is a discovery, and it's all actually stolen. And she said, she goes on to say, we keep forgetting that directly talking about race with white people is a waste of our breath. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they are a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain. It's like banging your head against the brick wall. She said, she also goes on to say, she said, white people sound demented. They don't even know they have a mask on. White people think it's their actual face. We need to get to know the mask. I want to make sure I read all of the things she said. She basically said, that was pretty much the you know, extent of what she said. And basically she was like, these things, like this constant retelling of the truth, resanitizing the truth, like acting like things didn't happen, pretending like you don't know what people are talking about when they talk about race issues, like that's actually psychopathic. And, you know, people, not me, the whites were apparently up in arms about her calling them psychopathic. And it's like, yes, what she said might have been harsh, but there is something slightly psychopathic about what has happened about what black people and people of color have experienced in this country. Like, you enslaved people for years. You continue to oppress and prevent those same people who you've enslaved from moving forward. But then you turn around and be like, well, why don't you have anything? It's like, you burned down Tulsa. You burned down, you covered the city where Lake Lanier is on top of. You do things to prevent progress and then be like, well, why haven't you progressed? Like, I can see what she means when she says it's giving psychopathies.
Yeah.
I can see what she says. Is it harsh what she said? Yes.
Is
there truth to it? Also, yes.
I just want to quickly read this. This is not to pick an opinion or not, but this is what happened with the Nina Simone thing. Mm-hmm. So back in 2013, when Nina Simone passed, her children and her grandchildren was in charge of her estate, right? Mm-hmm. And Nina Simone's last wish was for all the charity that was the Charitable Trust to support the musical education of black children in Africa. Mm-hmm. That was what she wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. But I guess Kamala Harris said that Kelly, which was her administrator,
I think it was her granddaughter,
breached her fiduciary duty by draining $2 million from the trust and depositing $1.5 million in her own personal company. Mm-hmm. And because of that, she charged her $6 million plus more than $2.5 million in interest. And the parties came to an agreement. It said Kelly was stripped of her title of estate administrator and agreed to relinquish her rights to Simone's works. She also was barred from saying or implying that she had any affiliation with her mother's legacy and estate. That's what it says.
That's the wild part. Like, that is your parent, but correct. Legally you can't speak on their legacy. Like, that's nuts.
Correct, and that's what I said. Like,
that's nuts.
Like it's anybody's.
But you can tell me that, but then when you get inaugurated as vice president, you play my mother's music.
Correct.
I'm going to have a problem.
No, correct, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I just want to give the full facts.
No. I understand. Like, if the lady was out there taking money, then that's why she shouldn't have been doing. She should have been doing what she was supposed to do.
I just
but it's like adding insult to injury,
so everybody understands.
Yes, it was adding insult to injury.
The point I'm making is why everybody understands. Like, it's not at surface, but just
yes.
There's a reason behind that.
Yes. Moving on from all of that. So I think we've talked about this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Nick Cannon needs to be stopped. How do we force a vasectomy on Nick Cannon? Nick Cannon, they just announced last week that Nick Cannon had twins. I think Zion and Zillion with this lady, and now he just popped up in another maternity shoot with his current girlfriend who's pregnant. Nick, stop.
His fourth child in less than a year. Nick,
baby, what is you doing? Are you trying to single-handedly repopulate the earth? Like, what's going on? Stop. I need you to stop. I know you got big money. Your money long. I understand. I get it. I need you to stop because you look nuts, sir. You look very community right now.
He's had 2 children for a while because, like,
and he said, I must expand.
So he had 4 children in the last year.
Yeah, I need Nick.
Just like work on them. That's all I'm asking.
Or get a vasectomy.
Or just work on them. I feel like it's very easy to work on them.
There are options. Is all I'm saying. You don't have to keep making children. I'm sure you can afford all of them. But I need you to stop making children, okay?
Because he had 2 with Mariah Carey.
Mm-hmm. And Mariah Carey can pay for those kids by herself if push comes to shove. So these other chicks can't.
So it was Monroe Cannon with Mariah Carey.
Yes, Monroe and Morocco.
Yes.
Then
in 2017, had a son with Brittany Bell.
Yes.
Golden State Guy Cannon.
Yes.
Then Powerful Queen Cannon was born in December 2020.
Yes.
Powerful Queen Cannon. Then June 16th, Zion Cannon.
And Zillion
Cannon.
Yes.
And baby 7 is on the way with Elizabeth Scott.
Yes, who is his current girlfriend, I believe. Mind you, he was dating the model Jessica White when the Powerful Queen child came to be. They broke up because she was like, oh, there's someone else having your baby. Wow, that's crazy. We should break up. So yeah. Nick is definitely giving community for the streets tease. And, you know, Nick said Joe gonna stop saying he corny. This ain't the way though. This ain't the way to convince us, Nick. Just you out here just.
I don't mean he's corny. I mean he's just wears on him.
I just want Nick to have money when he dies. That's all. Because it seemed like between these baby mamas and these coins that's going to be spent on child support and upkeep, whew, Nick going to be working for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. It's just a little insane that it says his current partner had the twins, and then there was another child after that.
But like, I think him and this lady is together too. So maybe they in some type of polyamorous situation. I don't know. I don't know the people's business. I just know that Nick went from having 2 children and being married to Mariah Carey and basically doing normal things to suddenly repopulating California with all these children. It's very strange.
Yeah, I think that he needs to
relax.
Yes,
relax. Speaking of people who need to relax, Carmelo Anthony. I don't know what Carmelo Anthony has been pretty much like quiet.
And he gives everybody 2 kids, by the way.
Yeah, he's committed to giving it. So Alyssa's got another kid coming. Great, good for her. So Nick won't stop. Okay, all right. We're waiting for the next announcement. Carmelo Anthony, you know, great basketball player. You know, like I don't hear too much about him in the media. Like. With relation to anything. I know 2-3 years ago it came out that him and Lala were separated and then they were quarantining together, so there was speculation they were back together, whatever. So allegedly part of why they separated in the first place is because he had a child on Lala. They have a child together and he apparently cheated on her and had a child with some other lady that he's never publicly acknowledged, but the streets all seem to know that's his kid. So it came to light recently this week that Carmelo had 2 other kids with some lady, twins. And one of the twins had some kind of health issue. And so he was giving the lady money to pay for the kid's surgery and whatever. And there was, you know, text message screenshots and whatever. And then a few days after that, it was reported that Lala filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. I'm like, Carmelo Anthony has been a famous person for a very long time. And he's been a very quiet, from what I know, in terms of like the amount of celebrities I hear about on a regular basis in that respect. So what are you doing? What are you doing, Carmelo?
I'm just
like you've been in the game way too long to be this sloppy and getting exposed like this. Like, what are you doing? What is the reason? Are you having because you never won a ring and now you're like acting out? Like, what are we doing? What is the reason? The people want to know, because this don't make no type of sense. No type of sense. I'm not under any delusions that these like famous athletes don't cheat and be in the streets, but to have 3 whole babies on your wife, sir. What do you do? Like, the cardinal rule of being a husband is don't embarrass your wife. Number 1, don't embarrass your wife. And you done embarrassed this lady 3 times. Like,
just
what are you doing? Stop.
Can you just, as a celebrity, just spray condoms? Or?
Just wear condoms. They sell them everywhere. Everywhere. Like, everywhere. Like, just, what are you doing?
Don't stop.
And my whole thing, too, is the oldest son he has with Lala is like 14. If you think that 14-year-old doesn't think you're the scum of the earth, you're never going to unconvince that boy that you're not the scum of the earth. Yeah. You're not. Like, if he knows that this is what you've done to his mother, you will always be the scum of the earth. Always. Yeah. And you're going to spend the rest of your life fighting to not be seen as the scum of the earth to that boy.
Yep.
And it's like, for what? You did all that for what? Why couldn't you just have done this in a clean way? Like, if you didn't want to be with Lala no more, why didn't you just start the divorce proceedings, pack that thing up, go sleep with whoever, have how many other kids you want, live your best life? That's the one thing I'll give Nick Cannon. He didn't have no babies on Mariah. They divorced and then he went off and chose to do whatever he did. But Carmelo, you going out wild. And it's like, for somebody who's been in the basketball arena for 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, this is not the thing I should be hearing the news for you about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I should be hearing about your basketball the way I'm still hearing about LeBron's basketball. I shouldn't be hearing about side babies and Lala divorcing you. Like, what? What is this? This is embarrassing. You look nuts. You look nuts.
Like, I don't know if LeBron cheated or not, but you just don't hear about it.
You don't hear about it. You don't hear about it.
What's key is you don't hear about it.
Yes. And if he has, Savannah don't look like she plays. So if he does, he's smarter about it. But this ain't like...
I don't believe that she doesn't know if she does, but I do.
But if he's doing it, he's at least respecting the don't embarrass my wife. At least he's doing that. At the minimum, he's respecting the don't embarrass my wife. And I think that's all most women want. Don't embarrass me. Like, I don't think most women are in support of being cheated on. But it's like, if it's gonna happen, don't embarrass me. Don't have me out here looking dumb, looking wild, because you out here just doing some stuff. Don't do that. Yeah,
like, and LeBron knows Jay-Z, so he knows how NDA works.
Right. Like, he know how to finesse the situation.
He knows how NDA works.
Right. I'm sure LeBron has been in them streets, but you ain't never gonna hear about it.
Yeah. Pretty sure, like, before we move to this room, do you want to sign this document for us?
It is June 21st of 2021. Beyonce told us about Becky with the good hair back in 2016. We still don't know who it is. Still. Becky ain't came out and said nothing. The Carters ain't came out and said nothing. The only person who know who Becky is Becky.
I feel as if before even things happened, they were like, don't you want to sign this paperwork?
Like, and given the fact that Beyonce told us about Becky in 2016, who knows when Becky happened? Becky could have happened in 2011 and they was just telling us then. Come on now. Just go on.
I feel like things happened like back when like When the Alarm came out, because she looked crazy.
She was giving crazy.
She looked crazy and angry then. So.
Yeah, she was giving crazy. So something was definitely taking place. I think
When the Alarm is when things were happening, because she looked crazy and angry.
Yeah, it was like, I don't like that.
She looked quite crazy and angry.
Beyonce got to go get some help. She looks crazy. But yeah, you going outside, Carmelo. This ain't how I want to see it for you.
All right, we have to get out of here.
Yes. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you heard about this, but Megan Thee Stallion put out a song, Thought-ish, a couple weeks ago. It's a song. It sounds like Megan Thee Stallion songs. And apparently also as a follow-up, I suppose, or not as a follow-up, but it happened after. Tory Lanez, her alleged shooter, put out a song with DaBaby on it. And I guess Megan was upset because her and DaBaby are friends. And she was like, well, how you going to make a song with this guy who shot me? And, people were kind of like, well, a song is a song, a bag is a bag. Why DaBaby got to stop getting money because of something that happened with you and this guy allegedly that didn't have nothing to do with him? And, that was the back and forth. Then Pardison Fontaine, who is Megan's new man, came in and was like, nah, DaBaby wild, he a clown for doing it. So now it seems like there is a potential new beef ablaze. And I just kind of wanted to get your take on what you think about the matter. Do you feel like DaBaby should not have done the song if him and Megan are friends because of what allegedly happened? Or do you think
I think
he was like, this ain't got nothing to do with me, I'm gonna get my money and go on about my business?
I think the reality is Meg just thought they were closer friends than they were. I think that's the concern, I think, with friendships and with like a lot of times when people have friends. I feel like what someone else thinks of what us as friends are, the other person doesn't, and that's really why friends like clash. Because my feeling is like where we are in a friendship and what we will do or not do as friends is not the same as how you feel. Right. So I feel as if as a friend that you wouldn't do something like that because it will bother me. And you're in your mind, I don't feel that way. Right. So they're just not that in their mind. They weren't the same level of friends. Yeah. And I think that's how that goes. It happens with regular people all the time. Yeah. I feel like there's no friend contracts. Yeah, there are no friend contracts. So people just assume. Yeah. And people don't have a conversation about like, so as a friend, let's figure out how we will approach it. Like everybody's version of what, like the friend is such a nuanced word. Like everybody's version of what friend means is different. Yeah. Meg is my fellow Aquarian sister. So, I stand. But I also recognize that she's in her 20s
And I think in your 20s, you also have a very high hope about people's integrity. And when you consider as friends, and when you consider someone to be, Aquarians don't consider a lot of people as friends. So if you consider if I consider someone a friend and they do something that to me feels like they're choosing the side of the ops, I'm going to be very hurt by that. I'm going to take that very 26. Personally. Huh?
Yeah, she's 26.
Yeah, I'm going to feel a way about that. As she gets older, I feel like she'll be able to look back at that and just kind of be like, well, it is what it is. But I understand where she's coming from in the moment of feeling like, I really thought you was my guy. Like, why would you go do something with this? But then the thing that I think women also need to kind of understand about men is that men don't be caring about the back and forth, a lot of men have this didn't have nothing to do with me. This ain't my business. This ain't my problem.
I feel as if that's
I'm going to just move around.
I think what you're saying is based off of the level of friendship, though. Because even with guys, like, if I have a friend who's a guy, and like I found out the other guy punched him in the face, and like, but they're still not cool. Like I can't, like, how I approach him is gonna be a little different, depending on how close I am with the person. If it's just an associate, like I don't really talk to like that. Like we just say hi and bye. It's a little different. I'm like, oh, I'm not really associated with it. Like I'm not really part of that.
Right.
If we close, then it's just a level of friendship. Like I don't think it's a guy girl thing. It's just a level of friendship thing. I don't like the baby.
The reason I say I think it's a guy and girl thing because I feel like women are more likely to just like, oh, my friend don't fool with you no more. I don't fool with you no more. Like we're more inclined to go that route over our friendships. Men are not like that for the most part, to where it's like if you and one of your friends have a beef with another, or if you and one of your friends fall out in your group of friends, you might not necessarily expect your other friends to not be friends with that person anymore.
That's different.
Women kind of have an expectation of, if me and somebody fall out, me and all my friends are now enemies with that person. That's what I expect. Men are to me, I feel like men are a little more fluid on that as a concept.
I still think it depends on the drasticness of the situation.
Yes, it depends on the drasticness of the situation, and it depends on
shooting is a drastic situation,
right?
That's a situation where someone,
and so she feels like there's a hard line, and there's a side to be chosen.
Correct. Like, and I feel as if guys would feel that if someone feel like they shot somebody, I feel like it's a little different,
right? So I guess to her, by the baby doing the song with him, she feels like, oh, so you don't think you really shot me? You think I'm making this up? You think you made it up, or you feel like that's not a hard enough reason, or that's not a big enough reason.
If someone shot my friend, it's not just like y'all have a falling out,
right? Like,
someone got shot,
right? Like there was
just falling out is one thing. If it's a falling out, then right. Y'all just I'm not really. Someone shot somebody.
Yeah, it's a slightly different situation.
Conversation.
Yeah, it's a slightly different situation. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I was like, oh, look at Pardison stepping up his girl. We appreciate it. Right. I still think he's crazy, but you know, whatever.
I have to leave it.
Yes, you do. So last thing, new music. So Her finally put out an album, Back of My Mind. Sis has won like 6 Grammys, but didn't have man album in sight. She was just giving us EPs and Lucy's. But so she's finally put out her debut album called Back of My Mind. The big homie Gucci Mane put out an album. Gucci Mane has got to be the most producingest rapper of all time. Gucci Mane got so much music out. Like Gucci Mane put out 2-3 albums a year, son.
Yeah.
No joke. But he has one out. It's called Ice Daddy. I think it's a play on the fact that his child's name is Ice and he's his daddy, so Ice Daddy. But he's also the Ice Daddy, because have you ever seen Gucci Mane outside? He be having on mad diamonds, son. Like just chain, ring, necklace, all type of thing. And Moo Fresh, we played her here last season, maybe?
Yeah.
As one of our featured artists. She has an album out called Queen of Culture as well. So if you're looking for some music, that's some stuff to get into. It's giving, different types of vibes, So yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's our new music. And we over the 2-hour mark. We haven't done a 2-hour podcast in a minute. So we gonna pack this thing up. We're going to take it home. So thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for engaging with us. We love you. We appreciate you. And until next time, we bid you good folks.
adieu.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
Check us out. It's the All Love, Oh, No Fear podcast. All Love, Oh, No Fear podcast.
Hey.